Controversy is bubbling in Africa over who owns the right to the waters of the Nile River. VOA's Peter Heinlein reports from northern Ethiopia.
Some say the Blue Nile starts here in the Ethiopian highlands, where many believe the waters have miraculous healing powers. Others say here, where the soil-laden water flows out of Lake Tana and sweeps down deep gorges, crosses into Sudan, and joins the White Nile to complete a 6,000-kilometer journey through Egypt to the sea. Ethiopia, one of the world's poorest countries, sees these waters as a key to greater prosperity. A newly built hydroelectric plant promises to make Ethiopia an energy exporter. A nearly complete irrigation system may help Ethiopia avoid the chronic food shortages that led to famines in recent years. Farmer Yeshiwa Salemu says irrigation will provide a stable water supply, ending Ethiopia's dependence on unpredictable rain.
We have always been poor, so we must take this opportunity to use the irrigation water. We should not give it away.
Even though 85% of the Nile's water comes from Ethiopia's mountain streams, Egypt and Sudan say 2 colonial-era treaties give them exclusive rights to almost all of the Nile's flow. Egypt's ambassador to Ethiopia, Tarek Ghunim, says it is a matter of national survival.
95% of our water comes from the Nile River. While the other Nile basin countries have other sources.
Upstream nations say Egypt has had the lion's share of the Nile long enough. Ethiopian water resources expert Imru Tamrat says treaties Egypt signed with Sudan and with colonial power Britain are invalid.
Without the knowledge of the upstream countries, they divided the whole flow of the Nile among themselves. And this, they claim, is their what they call historical rights. There is no concept of historical rights under international law.
Amid increasing demands from upstream countries for a fairer share of the water, 9 Nile Basin countries began talks in 1999, but negotiations remain deadlocked. Egypt and Sudan insist any treaty must ensure their interests are not adversely affected. Upstream countries offer only that downstream nations will not suffer significant harm. Tefera Beyene of Ethiopia's water ministry says Egypt is trying to maintain veto power over upstream projects.
When you say adversely, means you cannot touch the water resources. And this is a shared resource. Of course, when you do certain things, you may cause certain harm, but that harm has to be not significant.
5 upstream nations signed a framework agreement last May that would give them greater access to the water. But Egypt's ambassador Ghunim cautions against any deal that fails to address concerns of the consumer countries.
We have to work harder on trying to find a compromise that will, in the end, serve all. Because this way, this will be a win-win situation for all the Nile Basin countries. But if we don't have this kind of arrangement or agreement, we all lose. And I don't believe that any of the Nile Basin countries want to see that.
The calm of Lake Tana masks the tensions below the surface. Farmer Aimero Casa says it's time to challenge Egypt's Nile water monopoly.
They have used the river, and they lived on it for many years. Now we have to use it, and even using all other means. If we can dam the Nile in Ethiopia for the farmers to use it here in Ethiopia, then I would be very happy. They have to pray to their God.
Peter Heinlein, VOA News at the headwaters of the Nile in northern Ethiopia.